It is finally here, the big day. It is Summer League basketball time. We're going to get to see Paolo Banchero on the basketball floor. We'll talk about what the Magic are trying to accomplish, how they're trying to approach this, what to expect from Paolo tonight, and a look at what the overall goals are for Summer League. Let's get to it. It's a Thursday edition of Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is July 7th, 2022. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the expert and site editor over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, we're going to talk a little bit about what to expect from Summer League, what the Magic's overall goals are, and what we're going to hope to see from Paolo Banchero here in tonight's debut game as the Orlando Magic take on the Houston Rockets tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm coming to you late on this Thursday. I will have an episode up for you shortly after the game ends, probably around 1 a.m., 2 a.m., somewhere in there. So we will get into everything that happened for the Orlando Magic in this Summer League game. But before we do any of that, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you're listening to us, whether it's right when we upload first thing in the morning or just getting ready, getting hyped for tonight's game. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. Remember, there's a great Locked On podcast covering every single team in the NBA. Just search for Locked On and the team you're looking for, the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. I feel like we always need to start with the general warnings about Summer League. Just these general warnings about what we're going to experience here for the next week. And it's really, 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 really important that we do this. Summer League is, I always say this, Summer League is a place where you don't find out who can play. You find out who can't. There's a lot of stuff hidden in the middle of all that. But you exit Summer League having some idea of what a player's benefits are, what their limitations are, and you can't just look at the numbers. You got to actually watch the games and understand, where are these guys' shots coming from? Last year was a perfect example of this. You had Franz Wagner couldn't do anything. He couldn't make shots. It was all that. And I remember watching that, and I know I said this earlier this week. I know I said this last year as well. It just always felt like the team was tired. It felt like that the team was just gassed when they got to the games. And I get the sense that Jamal Mosley ran his Summer League practices very much like regular season practices, like training camp practices, because there were so many players that were going to be on the main roster on that team. Plus, it was Jamal Mosley's first run as a head coach. And I think that experience, he wanted to kind of really dig his teeth in. I really think that had a lot to do with how the Magic performed in their Summer League games. The games were not it for the Orlando Magic. Everyone looked tired. All of their shots were falling short. And so I didn't really read too much into the Magic's performance. I remember the game against Cleveland, especially last year. I sat there and said, it's fine. The Magic got good looks. I was really happy with the looks that they generated. I think there were some little things that needed to be tweaked for sure, but they were just missing open shots. And honestly, you can live with that at this point. It's not about that final step. It's about the foundational steps you do to get there. Franz Wagner especially. There are a number of scouts who said at the time that this is not the setting for Franz Wagner to succeed. That no one was worried about Franz Wagner coming out of Summer League. Fans certainly were, because all we got to see were the games. But it was definitely not conducive to Franz's success. I would say this about Jalen Suggs. There were shooting concerns for Jalen Suggs during Summer League, but we saw already what a dynamic driver he could be, getting to the basket. And we could already see how good of a defender he could be. That block against Golden State in that first Summer League game, still one of the very best plays that he made all year. That was just an incredible play and a preview of what he was going to give to this team defensively. So like I said, Summer League isn't about showing that you can play. It's showing, you find out who, not necessarily who can play, you find out who can't play. And so having a full Summer League where you're just struggling to get your shot, struggling to get going, that's going to be a concern. And certainly it has been a long time since the Magic have had a player of Paolo Banchero's caliber and capabilities that we're going to learn a lot about him. And then I'll get into some of those expectations coming up here. But really what Summer League is about is laying the foundation, kind of getting everyone's feet wet, working on a few things, sure, but getting everyone kind of into the flow and understanding what it's going to take when they get to the NBA, especially for young players, especially for rookies. Orlando Magic assistant coach and the Summer League coach, Jesse Mermis, really, I think, said it well in his practice availability yesterday. There are a lot of things to come in the offseason, but with the limited time that we have, with the limited information we have in these games, we're focused on ourselves, number one, and we're focused on keeping things simple. This is really just about the core principles, the base, the very, 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 very basics of what the Magic are trying to accomplish and what the Magic are trying to do. It's about nothing more than that. The very, very, very basics of what the team is trying to do. And that means playing, with those principles that we talked about all last year. Pace, space, and the pass. Together, tied together, talking and what was the last thing on defense? But you get the gist. The Magic are just coming here focused on the basic principles of what they're trying to do. The basic things of who they're trying to be. They want to see the team play hard defensively. They want to see the team get out and run a little bit, play with some pace, play with some energy. It doesn't have to be perfect here. Don't expect perfection. It's a summer league game. It's gonna, I joked when I was starting watching the California Classic over the weekend. These games are summer leaguing very hard. It is a verb. To summer league is a verb. You're gonna see these rough spots, and again, I've looked at this Magic roster. I am still not super impressed with the roster the Magic put together. I think the starting lineup will be fine with Kennedy, Houston, Hampton, Banchero, and who's going to start center? I'm blanking on who. I'm comfortable with the starting group for the Orlando Magic. Will probably be like Daniel Ortoro or Jeremiah Tillman. But this is not the strongest group of players. And Xavier Simpson might impress, Captain Hook as he's called. There's going to be some guys that stand out because, when you have the ball in your hands, someone's got to do the scoring. These are NBA players. These are professional players. They will find their way. But there's still a lot more work to do. And there's still a lot that has to be built. And what this moment, what this grouping, what this task is to build that foundation. That's all this week is about. Building that foundation. Starting off and starting the basics of what's going to come in the fall. Because this is what it's all leading to. It's all leading to the fall. It's all about the fall. It's not about what happens in Vegas. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. It's all about building to the fall. And that's where we're going to leave Paolo Banchero. That's where we're going to talk about Paolo Banchero and what is expected of him. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, this episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. So why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing the only brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have computers with access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket. So save time and money when using Rock Auto. Rock Auto is a family business serving do-it-yourselfers for more than 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer. They have everything you need for brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, and even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all the parts available for your car or truck. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. Obviously, the main event for this next week is Paolo Banchero. Whether he plays just one game, whether he plays 2 games, whether he plays 3 games, whether he plays all 5, 6, 7, 8, however, he won't. But what if? The main event of this summer league for the Orlando Magic is to see the number 1 pick in action. Plain and simple, the number 1 pick in action. It's exciting, to say the least. I think Magic fans are legitimately excited, and judging, and according to several reports, tonight's game against the Houston Rockets is going to pack the Thomas and Mack Center. If you've never been to Summer League, they play it at UNLV's campus. Thomas and Mack Center is a great place to watch basketball. Summer League is really exciting. NBA fans have really taken to this event. Definitely go if you have the chance. Summer League is a lot of fun. I know the basketball is kind of crappy, but there's games everywhere. I'm a big fan of Cox Pavilion, the secondary arena. Great place to watch games as well. All the Magic games will be in the main arena at Thomas and Mack, but it's a lot of fun. And it sounds like tonight is going to be a packed house wanting to see the number 1 pick in the draft, Paolo Banchero. And that's obviously, a lot of pressure, but pressure that Banchero is not unfamiliar with. Give him all the credit in the world. Give him everything here. Banchero has seen plenty of pressure before. He's done this. He went to Duke in Coach K's last season with all the pressure and attention on him. This dude is not afraid, and as Jesse Mermis has said, as even Paolo would say, he's pretty even-keeled. He stays pretty level, whether he plays well, whether he plays poorly, whatever's going on around him. The dude just kind of stays on the mellow, and that's a really good skill to have. Again, all the NBA players will tell the young ones, like, look, you're going to lose more in a winning season in the NBA than you've lost probably in your entire life up to that point. You got to learn how to deal with losses. You got to learn how to get yourself back up and get ready for another game the next couple of days. And the fact that Paolo Banchero seems pretty level, that's a real good skill. That's probably one of the reasons why he was the number 1 pick. Is the dude is just on that level all the time. Having said that, we definitely do want to see some things from Paolo. Again, I think the big thing we're going to be looking at throughout the course of the year is the things that certainly made us question whether he was the right pick or made us lean toward Jabari Smith in a lot of ways. And Jabari's got his own questions, and he'll have to answer those too. And it's going to be a head-to-head matchup. Jabari Smith is one of the best defenders in this draft. He's going up against Paolo Banchero, one of the best offensive players. We're going to find out what happens when the immovable object goes up against the irresistible force. Something's going to give tonight, and it's going to be really, really exciting, and it's going to be a great challenge and a great test for both of these young players. But let me tell you what I'm hoping to see from Paolo Banchero. I am not going to care so much about his scoring numbers. I'd like to see him have one big scoring game up in the 20s, but I don't think his scoring numbers are going to be the important thing here. He's playing with guys that may not get him the ball in his exact right spots, the same way that Markelle would, the same way that Cole would. Look, one of the things I think Devin Kennedy needs to work on is to become a better playmaker, become a better point guard, become a better game manager. RJ Hampton, I said this numerous times, the Magic went out of their way to not have him play point guard. So, if the Magic are trying to isolate Paolo Banchero or trying to get Paolo Banchero the ball in the spots, he's not going to get the ball maybe in the same places. But here are the things I do want to see. Paolo Banchero may not score a ton, or I'm not focused on his scoring. I am focused on his efficiency. Yes, I'm expecting him to have one game where he's like 8 for 13, not 8 for 13, it's pretty good. 8 for 21, or to have, a 4 for 12 game. Like, I'm cool with that. I'm cool with one of those. It's going to happen. It's Summer League. It might happen tonight, honestly, because he hasn't played basketball. He hasn't played 5-on-5 really since April. I think he'll do fine tonight, actually. But know that game is coming. Chet had that game, after the initial rush. It's going to come. What I want to see is efficiency. I want to see him be efficient with his shots, really pick his spots well, not feel like he has to carry the team. I don't think that's super important. I want to see moments where he does carry the team, but that's not the real focus for me in this Summer League. That'll come later. Make this week about figuring out how to facilitate, how to find your spots, how to find your place to assert yourself, but keeping the ball moving. This was one of the big criticisms for Paolo Banchero. And one of the things that I was a little bit critical of was that he was a bit of a ball stopper. That, all the pace, all the movement, all the motion that the Magic tried to run, that he would struggle a little bit in it. I noted that, Banchero, and it's probably unfair to paint him totally as an ISO player, but the Magic ran the second fewest isolation possessions in the league last year. I think Banchero changes that a little bit, but it can't change it too much. So I'm looking for efficiency. The other thing I'm looking for is I want to see him be a playmaker. I want to see his assist numbers up. I want to see him average 4 or 5 assists per game during the Summer League, because, again, that kind of flows into this idea that, okay, he's part of the team. The ball is moving when he's out there. It's not stopping with him. He's not just going out there and trying to score a bunch of points. I know Paolo Banchero can score, and he's going to score plenty in the Summer League. I want to see the other parts of his game fill out. I want to see the passing and the ball movement. We all talked that he could be a really great passer, and that was something that maybe he wasn't able to show at Duke. I want to see him defend really well. I know he can be a good defender. He didn't always show it at Duke. There were certainly some moments where he looked like he was not into it defensively. It was a big question I had. But he can be a great defender. I want to see him really buy in defensively. If he just buys in defensively during this week of play, then that's a successful Summer League. That's successful to me. I will be very, very happy if we see just that from him. That's all I need to see. But, we got to see how it all plays out. We got to see what it ultimately looks like. There is a lot on his plate. There's a lot of attention put on him, and there's no getting around that, and that's not something that he hides from, and I really, really like that from him. But really, I think the big things we need to see from Paolo Banchero over this week is what the other parts of his game are. The scoring is going to be there. I'm not worried about him scoring points. That's what he's good at. That's what the Magic draft him to do. He's going to do that plenty. I want to start seeing how the Magic can use him and how he can fill in the other parts of his game. Those are my big goals for Paolo Banchero this Summer League. What are the goals for the rest of the Orlando Magic, though? We're going to get into those coming up here in just a moment. But first, from the people who invented healthy and tasty protein bars comes the latest gift to your taste buds. You've probably tried the amazing Coconut Brownie Chunk Built Bar, but guess what? Your friends at Built have given Coconut Brownie Chunk the Puffs treatment. That's right, the Coconut Brownie Chunk Built Bar flavor you love and a deliciously chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness. But stop drooling and listen. They're good for you. They're low calorie, low sugar, high protein, and all delicious. Coconut Brownie Chunk Puffs are only here for a limited time, so go to Built.com now to make sure you don't miss out. They're going fast because they taste amazing. All Built bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides a ton of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. The best part about Built Puffs is, of course, they taste amazing, which you can enjoy them guilt-free because they're actually good for you. They are the perfect treat, perfect for when you've got a craving, you need to satisfy your sweet tooth, or if you need a quick, healthy snack. They're an excellent source of protein. And again, they taste great. Delicious coconut, rich, sweet brownie, creamy marshmallow. Stop fantasizing. You can start drooling again. Get to Built.com and order your box of coconut brownie chunk puffs right now. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Use promo LOCKED15 to get yours today. Like I said about Summer League, it's not about figuring out who can play. It's more about figuring out who can't play. We're obviously not going to see everyone we hope to see at Summer League this year. There's no Franz Wagner. There's no Jalen Suggs. So the Magic's 2 second-year players are not going to be there. The Magic roster is full. For such a young group, for a team that is down at the bottom of the standings, Orlando doesn't have space necessarily to add more guys. We will see Admiral Schofield. I think that he is due for a big Summer League. The Magic are pretty invested in him, handing him another two-way spot. Devin Kennedy is still trying to fight his way onto the roster, but he's under contract with the guaranteed date in January. RJ Hampton is coming in for tour duty, just trying to get more game experience and more game reps, and being a good veteran leader for this group. It's going to be interesting to see him play. But this is not a Summer League to draw conclusions or necessarily see anything. Really, I think what the Magic are looking for from the rest of the roster is what are they going to do with the second two-way spot? My suspicion is that's going to go to Caleb Houston. I was talking with some people on the Magic Reddit Discord. I think there's a decent chance that the plan with Caleb Houston, who has not signed his contract yet, he's not signed his rookie contract yet. I would bet the plan with Caleb Houston is either sign him to a two-way, thus burning his draft rights, keep him in Lakeland for the first part of the year, and then either graduate him to a full contract in January, or keep him on the two-way, bring him up next year, or they're just going to defer the whole season for him, and he's going to play the year in Lakeland. He's a young guy. He's still raw. I think the general consensus was that he needed another year at Michigan. Playing another year in the G League will enable him to get pro experience, will enable him to stay in the Magic system, get him that extra year, kind of defer him that year. It's kind of like a prep school year, and then come up to the Magic next year where the Magic will hopefully be able to move some stuff around and have an open roster space. The Magic do have 2 first-round picks next year as well. So roster space is getting tight. It's a little limited right now. It's a good draft, though, too. So keep that in mind as well as the Magic try to move around. This Summer League roster it doesn't impress me. The guys that I'm interested in, Xavier Simpson, aka Captain Hook. That's Robin Lopez's nickname, but Simpson, small guard. He's 6 foot, really kind of a bulldozer. Is able to get into the lane, but not someone I am like super keen on. The Magic are pretty set at point guard right now. We've got Daniel Otoro. He played for the Clippers for a little bit. 6'8" center. Doesn't have much outside game, but I think he'd be a good option to end up in the G League. Orlando. They got Mo Bamba. They got Wendell Carter. They got Mo Wagner. So maybe another center is someone there. If I were the Magic, I'd be looking at smaller wings. I'm not seeing any of those guys on this Summer League roster. Again, it's just I'm not super impressed with the roster the Magic put together here. I will say that flat out. I am not super impressed. But hopefully someone surprises me, and that's certainly something here. So the Magic are looking to evaluate talent. Obviously, they got a Lakeland Magic roster to fill, and I think that's what the real purpose of this Summer League is. But I think they're also looking to just establish their basics. Like I said at the beginning, this Summer League is about establishing the basics of who they are for these young players. It's about kind of starting the process of integrating, especially Paolo Banchero. That's why I'm sure they were real thrilled that RJ Hampton wanted to play, just because it gives them another roster player. I think if this was Paolo Banchero with no one else on the Magic roster, I'd tell you we're not going to learn anything about this. They're going to give Paolo the ball. He's going to shoot it 20 times. That's not going to tell us anything. I want to see Paolo Banchero run some point. I want to see him be a playmaker. I want to see him have guys that he can get the ball to. Because again, it's not about the stats. It's about the process. And the Magic, I think, are real focused on the process. They're focused on their principles. They're focused on what they're trying to build. They're focused on that foundation that they're trying to take this team to. And that's what I would tell all of you to focus on. It's not about the results of these games. It's not about the stat lines. It's about the way you get them. The Summer League is about process. The Magic said it very clearly. They're keeping things simple. They just want the foundations and the core principles of who they are to shine in these games. And that's ultimately how you need to judge it. That's ultimately how you need to judge this team and this next week. We're going to have a lot to get to. We'll be overreacting to the first Summer League game later on tonight as the Orlando Magic take on the Houston Rockets tonight at 10 p.m. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. You can follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. Follow along with us for the game at OMagicDaily. And you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all the fun places to download podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Again, follow us along during the game at OMagicDaily. Now that you're done listening to us, be sure to check out the Locked On NBA podcast. We'll have Locked On hosts in Vegas. I will not be in Vegas, but we'll have Locked On hosts in Vegas telling you everything that's going on during Summer League. So be sure to check out the Locked On NBA podcast with your second listen of the day. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. For Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.